Growth of slavery. Slave population suddenly skyrocketed in the South. Why only the South? South economy equals rely on farming. Why not the North? North economy equals rely on machines. Slave
No
auctions.
need for
enslaved
slaves
people
were
to do
auctioned
labo.
off
To people. Highest bidder gets the slave. Slaves were treated like properties. Beer would examine health, strength, and bodies. Family would get separated, cause emotional trauma to the slaves.
Life as a slave, cruel and harsh, living conditions sucked. Slaves were forced to work day and night around 16 to 18 hours a day. King Cotton and cotton gin. Cotton gin equals machine. Use. Efficiently pick out the seeds from cotton. Purpose equals meant to decrease slavery. But it just made the demands for cotton higher. Cotton gin equals more people have to gather cotton. Cotton equals cash crop. Only attainable in the South B. Sea of climate. Cotton gin played an important role in contributing to the continued rise of slavery. Abolitionists and their methods. Frederick Douglass wrote many speeches. Harriet Tubman helped slaves escape with Underground Railroad. Harriet Beecher Stowe made novels Uncle Tom's Cabin. William Lloyd Garrison used newspaper to spread him message. Sarah Gimke made letters and pamphlet with her sister. The Tappan brothers used their wealth and influence, providing support to the Underground Railroad. Methods of resistance by enslaved people. Enslaved people would try to resist, either passively or actively. How they would resist in passive resistance: slow down work speed, break tools, pretend to be sick, etc. Active resistance: secretly learn how to read and write, escaping, rebelling, etc. Missouri Compromise. Background: Missouri wanted to join the Union as a slave state. Problem: uneven slave and free states, which equals slave states having political advantages. Solution equals Maine joins as a free state when Missouri joins as a slave state. Additionally, slavery was banned at the north of 30°90. Temporary solution: because there were always new states that wanted to join the Union. Effect: highlighted the beginning division of the Union.
Wilmot Proviso Proposal. Slavery was banned in any land gained from the Mexican-American War. Never passed. Why? Not a compromise only benefited the North. The South saw this as a threat and an attempt to get rid of slavery. Affect. It showed how divided the Union has become due to slavery.
Compromise of 1850 plus Fugitive Act, caused by the Missouri Compromise. California equals free state. Utah and New Mexico equals decide free or slave state by popular sovereignty. Fugitive Act equals any escaped slaves that were found must be returned. Result of the act: Northerners equals mad, Southerners equals happy. Why? Act would allow slavery to spread, which was not in the North's favor. Plus, they got rid of the line that was originally formed in another compromise. Many Northerners went from neutral to being an abolitionist. Effect: tension between North and South continues to rise. Kansas-Nebraska Act plus Bleeding Kansas. What was the act? People in Nebraska and Kansas would get to decide if their state was a free or slave state. Result: many heated arguments were occurring. Then, led to the Bleeding Kansas. Result: many died. Effect: showed that slavery could no longer be peacefully solved and instead just caused problems. This brought the nation closer to the Civil War. Dred Scott v. Sanford. Context: Dred Scott and his owner were living in a free state. Then, Scott thought that he should be considered free because he was in a free state. After, Scott took this to Supreme Court. Result: Supreme Court said that since Scott was not a citizen, rather instead the property of his owner, he was not allowed to sue in court. He was property, and the Supreme Court protected the rights of property owners. Effect: made North mad b. C. Slavery would continue to spread. South happy b. C. Protect their rights also showed that Supreme Court was pro-slavery. John Brown's raid Harper's Ferry. Context: John Brown was an abolitionist. He and his group of followers decided to steal weapons from one of the arsenals. Result: the raid failed. Brown was captured and executed. Effect: this added more tensions and division between the Union. Election of 1860 Abraham Lincoln. Context: Abraham was running for president. Problem: he was seen as a person who opposed slavery, which is true, but he wanted slavery to slowly end, was not an abolitionist, just anti-slavery. However, Southern states thought he was an abolitionist, so they didn't want to vote for him. Result: he won with not a single vote from the slave states. Free states voted for him. See, he could help abolish slavery. Effect: pushed Southern to secede from the Union. Southern secession. Context: after the Abraham Lincoln election, the 13 colonies seceded from the Union, starting with South Carolina. Then other states began to follow. Why secede? The Southern states feared that Lincoln would abolish slavery and they would get their political power taken from them. Then, the states that seceded away from the Union created a new federal government called Confederate States of America. Effect: this secession was a big event that showed how deep the division between free and slave states has gotten, which led to the Civil War and the first battle fought, Fort Sumter.